Welcome to the Real Estate Addicts podcast with your hosts, Dan Rubin, RH Investment Group.
Ray Hurto, RH Investment Group.
Mark Savatsky, Choose Boston.
And we are joined today by...
Chris Guimond, founder, CEO of Modern Mill.
Welcome.
Excellent. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
So I guess just a quick background. Chris's company, Modern Mill, manufactures siding product, also used for interior applications, called Acre siding. I've used the product for two projects in a row, and we got to chatting with your team, and really excited to have you here today. But I guess we should just start at a high level, like for audience members who are listening. Do you want to give us the sort of elevator pitch on Modern Mill? And we'll go from there.
Sure, happy to do it. So yeah, high level, what we do is we take rice husks, which is a throwaway agricultural product. So we grow a lot of rice in this country, right? Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, California, those are the main rice producing states. The rice comes in from the farm and it's called rough rice, right? So the rice husk is encapsulates the rice grain that we eat. So when it goes to the rice mill, it gets separated. So what we do is we take that rice husk, which is a throwaway agricultural product. So 100% of that stuff generally gets thrown away. There's some small uses for it, and people have been trying to kind of figure out what to do with this stuff for a long time. So we take that rice husk, which is a throwaway agricultural product, and it's going to come every year that we grow rice. So it's this ongoing sort of supply that we can use. We take that into our manufacturing facility, which is in Fernwood, Mississippi. That's about an hour outside of New Orleans, just for kind of point of reference. So we have a 250,000 square foot state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Fernwood, Mississippi. So we bring that rice husk in, and then it's a 4-step process to make Acre by Modern Mill, right? And we say Acre because we're upcycling acres and acres of rice husks. We say Modern Mill because it's a modern take on a sawmill. So my elevator pitch is, don't cut down the old growth tree, right? Mahogany, ipe, cedar, stuff that's harder and harder to get these days. Really address deforestation, take the throwaway rice husk, upcycle it, and then make a product that looks and feels very similar to that hardwood that you were about to cut down. And I always like to tell people, you can't keep cutting down old growth trees. At some point you run out, right? Yeah. Now I'm not talking about if you have a 10-year, sustainable way to regrow whatever it is, right? Whatever lumber, bamboo, or whatever it might be, right? There may be other opportunities to do that, but if you talk about redwood, cedar, cypress, ipe, mahogany, these types of older growth type stuff, it's, there needs to be a solution. And what we've done is solve this problem on the level of supply demand economics. Don't cut down the tree, upcycle a rice hull, and then make a product that looks and feels just like wood, that's stainable and paintable. And I would just say, what do we do with that when it comes in? It's a 4-step process. I'll keep it very simple. We grind the rice husk, we mix a compound, we extrude a board, then we're in the Modern Mill. That board, as we extrude it, it comes out, and you can kind of see it in this sample that I'm holding. Generally it's 3/4 inch or 1 inch thick. We extrude a board. It's 4 feet wide when it comes out, by 3/4 inch or 1 inch thick, by whatever length we want. That's our first sort of product that we make, as a sheet or a board. We then take that and we run it through the actual Modern Mill, which is the modern take on a sawmill. What does that entail? Essentially, we add through a sanding process, we add this Acre grain, right? So this Acre grain is really what gives you the look and feel of hardwoods, and it allows you to take the paint or the stain, especially the stain. There's no other stainable composite materials that are available on the market that look like this, and certainly that performs like this. So we take that sheet that we make on the extrusion process, we then go down into our quote-unquote Modern Mill, we add the Acre grain, we run it through a gang rip saw to rip it into individual widths, right? And that would be your trim boards or whatever, if you want some dimensional lumber to use. And then as the third process of that part, we run it through a molder. And that molder can give you all these various profiles. So you could have shiplap siding, which I think you're familiar with. You can have edge and center bead. You could have nickel gap. You could have center match. You could really have whatever profiles you want. And anything that can be molded with wood, you can essentially mold with Acre, right? And then there's a bunch of other features and benefits, but that's high level.
That's awesome.
What we have.
I mean, having worked with the product, I'll tell you the things that I like. First of all, it's dimensionally stable. We build in New England where we get temperature and humidity variations from December to July, which are wild. So it's a lot less expansion and contraction than all of those hardwoods that you mentioned previously. Ground contact is not really a thing. I don't have to worry about holding that up 18 inches above the concrete or what have you. And aside from all that, like any saw can cut it. My guys can work with it. Our carpenters are, I give them an Alucobond panel with a note from an architect, and I'm out on site all day with them trying to figure out all the complicated, 12-step process to hang the Z channel, the furring, and then this, and use this fastener here, and then the J channel and this type of accessory there. Like it's like working with wood, which is to say easy. So there's, my endorsement there.
Thank you. We wanted to make it very, very easy. And that's like, if you come out with something that's amazing and you address deforestation, but you make it impossible to install, it's not going to help, right? What are we trying to do? What's our North Star as a company to fill out our current manufacturing facility in Mississippi, which can do, significant amount more volume out of that plant. And then we eventually will build a second, possibly a third plant, right? Our goal is to continue to grow the company as per the demand comes in, right? And we're seeing great traction to the market. And I think it's because of what you said. People work with it. They say, wow, this is really, really easy to work with. It's not a skin irritant. It's not a lung irritant. So you don't have to worry about, a plume of dust in your face. Yeah. And we know that these are real issues that people have to deal with, right? So when people work with it, you don't have a bunch of, static from the material stuck on your clothes after. And these are like pain points that we've really addressed in the market. So as we've continued to create this adoption, we've asked the question, what is it that makes working with Modern Mill so attractive? I think it's a number of things, but certainly the look and feel of the product. It's certainly that over time, these hardwoods or softwoods, anything old growth, is getting harder and harder to get. So even if you can get it, it may not be of the same quality. It's super easy to work with. It can be in contact with the ground. And then to your point, in New England, well, next year, after you put this up, you don't have to go out and then worry about it peeling and rotting and rusting like wood does, right? So we've really addressed that maintenance piece of it where somebody can, do a beautiful install, and then for the years to come, they don't have to worry about having to go out and scrape it and repaint it. And those are real pain points that we've addressed in the industry, and that's why I think we're getting this wild adoption, right? People have said you guys have come on the scene like crazy, and within 5 years, you guys have like basically national distribution, right? We've got top tier 2-step distributors that have taken on the product, dealers, all great areas like Boston, Cape Cod, the Vineyard, like all these different areas that we're just continuing to track. And I'd say we can service anywhere from the super high-end home to just anybody doing any type of home, right? We've really tried to make sure that we're at a price point that really makes sense. And that's the other part of this. If you want to hit volume, make sure that you're, easy to work with, the price makes sense, and that you can really, track in a big addressable market, right? This is a massive industry.
What do you guys figure, like $9 to $10 per square foot, plus minus?
Yeah, depending upon how it lands and what exactly what products we're talking about. But yeah, in that ballpark, sometimes more, sometimes less, and depends on which SKU we're talking about.
I mean, to put that in context, so I would think masonry starts at $40 a square foot. Metal panels is going to range 90 to 100, and storefront curtain wall, we get into glass facades, that's 120 plus a square foot. You certainly can purchase vinyl siding for $1.50 a square foot, but that's also vinyl siding. So I think it's fitting a really nice blend between cost and quality. So I think you guys have hit the nail on the head there. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And we try to, innovate and just also like address what are the pain points of the market? What is the market looking for? How can we come out with different profiles? And I think, in terms of the look and feel of it, right, you can play with the stains. We're really the only stainable composite material that now has a 5-year warranty with stain. That's wild. That just hasn't happened, right? So we're the first one to do that. So you could change the stain. So if you wanted variation as you're using the product, you can change the stain, you can paint it. As mentioned earlier, my house in New Hampshire, I just finished a kitchen cabinet install, and we did the main part of the cabinet, just did a beautiful white, to like you would see with normal hardwood. We painted the Acre white, so it's just this beautiful Acre cabinets on the main cabinet, and we contrasted that on the island with a stained Acre. So now we have the stain on one side, the white on the other. The stain, the grain really pops, but the combination of those two really gives an amazing variation. So there's so much you can do with it when you start to think about the variation. I think it's about the stains, the paints, it's about the different profiles that either we can make, or if you work with a mill worker, or if you have somebody that's a really good carpenter, you can heat this and bend it. You can do curves. Architects love it, right? Our architects go wild with it because like, wait, you can heat it and bend it. I mean, we made an appearance, I think it was this last year on This Old House, and on the Nashville season, and I don't know if it was that episode or the one before, we made 2 appearances on This Old House, but essentially they were heating and bending it. I think this last one in Nashville, they were showcasing the shiplap siding. But yeah, it works in all kinds of climates, the different variations you can do, the versatility as a builder to be able to work with it. And that's what people love most, right? Once you touch it and you start working with it, you're like, man, this is so easy to work with, and it just makes you want to use it again and again.
That's just it.
Is it for like the different profiles for the cladding? Is it a clip system? How does it attach to the sheathing?
So we wanted to make it super easy, right? Like Mark was saying, right? The way that what we've avoided doing is having to use clip systems or making it any kind of complicated, right? We wanted to just keep it simple, right? So our shiplap profile, which is right over there, it's got a flange, and that's essentially a blind fastener, right? So you'd hit that with either ring shank nails or screws, and then depending upon what you're actually doing, at times we might require some face fastening, which we have the plugs that we make that match the Acre grain. It's made out of our material, so you just countersink the screw, and then you could use the Acre plug. And so certainly we allow for face fastening, but we've tried to make it really simple. So generally speaking, no clips,
no drainage screen or no.
Yeah. So for our shiplap, we essentially can go right on top of, like, so if you have like zip with the moisture barrier, that's fine to go right on top of. And again, it depends upon what the requirements are for the building codes, but some building codes have different. But in general, like it works just fine to just do studs, OSB, some moisture barrier, and then put the shiplap siding right on top of that. Trim board's the same. We make like a rabbited trim to where that trim would cover where the siding would intersect it on a piece of trim, and that allows for any potential movement, which is generally insignificant, especially if our coatings guide and fastening system is followed. We try to minimize movement that way, but any movement that would happen happens behind that piece of rabbited trim, or depending upon what look you're going for. But yeah, in general, we wanted to make it very, very easy and simple for people to use. We didn't want anything complicated. So just typical ring shank nails, screws, nail guns work with it. Made it super easy to be able to coat it. So if somebody wanted to field finish it, you could do that. We've also, this year, we just launched our pre-finishing program. So now you can actually order from us pre-finished, and that comes in our 7 signature stain lines. So you can order from Modern Mill. It'll come to you pre-finished, and you don't have to deal with it. A lot of people still want to field finish it, which is fine, but we just try to make it very easy in terms of the coating, in terms of the install, in terms of every which way that somebody would think about it. We wanted it to be easy and address the pain points.
One sort of word of caution, when you're staining the product, you shouldn't just go to Benjamin Moore and pick out any stain you want and just apply it. There's 7 signature series, and then if you want a different color, you guys are able to sort of make that with a less reflective finish.
So generally speaking, what we want to do, our goal with our product is to minimize what's called HBU, heat buildup, right? So the way you minimize heat buildup is to use specific stains or paints. Everything should be water-based, and we have a whole coatings guide on our website, right, which really directs people as to what's approved, how to use it. But yeah, the pre-finished product that we have right now is going to have one of those 7 signature stains, and it's got an IR reflective pigment in there, which essentially reduces heat buildup, and with the reduction of heat buildup, you reduce expansion, contraction, and movement, right? So that's our goal with that. If you're going to go pick up something yourself, we'd want it to be an approved something, and if you find something that you like, you could always send us in a sample, and we'll happily do a test. So we'll do a heat buildup testing, and we'll come back with a result. If you wanted something custom, same way, we can customize that. We can send a sample, make sure that you like it, and we just always want to make sure that it passes that heat buildup testing, because that's obviously important to minimize, to improve success in the long term and minimize any issues.
Yeah,
awesome.
Why don't we pivot quick to sort of the entrepreneurial journey? Talk to us a little bit about how the company's evolved over the 5 years and where you guys are currently at.
Or how did you come up with the product?
That's a good...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good one. I get that a lot. So My background, I'm born and raised in New Hampshire. I went to school at UMass at Lowell, so I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in plastics engineering. So I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I've seen a lot over the years, and essentially people have been trying to do something with rice hulls for a long time. There's been people trying to figure out a way to use them for energy. There's been people trying to incorporate them into building products. So essentially what we've done is built on some existing ideas around that, and some of these ideas go back to like when I was in college and grad school, people trying to work with this stuff. But essentially we've built on some existing ideas, and we've had to make some pretty serious morphs on those ideas into what today is Acre by Modern Mill. So I think people have been trying to do it for a long time. We've been the first ones to really crack that code on a scale, right? Because that's the other thing I would say is it's, you can do a lot in a lab, right? Trying to figure out something in a lab, but to bring it up to a production scale is a whole different ball game, right? You really have to make sure that you're controlling all different types of elements, right? From your production process, the quality, how the product looks and feels, like creating the SKUs, right? Because this isn't an easy thing to create. When we created that chip lab product, it's like, okay, you got to go out and test it, right? You got to pass for screw and nail pull for a category 4 hurricane wind load, right? So we've passed that for Miami-Dade screw and nail pull for a replication of a category 4. We've created the formulation and the process which allows us to pass the what's called the WUI, wildland urban interface. That's the fire rating in California. So we're now fire rated, and so we can go on these different products. So people have been trying to do this, I think, in different ways for a long time. And I would just say in a general sense, use rice hulls. We've really been able to figure out how to take these rice hulls, bring them in economically, create these products, create these SKUs, do all the testing that's required. And then ultimately you've got to tell people about it, right? Which is what probably could be the hardest thing to do, right? I always tell people that people don't know what they don't know. Like if they don't know we exist, right? I love meeting people like you because you're like, oh, I've used your product and it's amazing. Yeah. And then I can come up and see it. And I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. It looks, and it's surreal sometimes to actually just to meet somebody that I hadn't met already, or one of our salespeople hadn't met that's actually just using it. But that's what's happening now is this massive adoption's happening. But so just from a background, that's how I got into this stuff. I'd been thinking about it for a long time. I would say a passion I had in college and grad school was around recycling and reusing materials. So I think there's always been this passion in me to just kind of think about that. I'm super passionate about sustainability, right? I think everybody we talk to gets excited about this, right? They think like we just tell them the story and they go, well, that just makes sense, right? And it doesn't really matter if you're politically here, politically there. People just love the story. It's like take something that's a throwaway agricultural product, use it, and replace something that is becoming harder and harder to get, which is the old growth trees. And when I think about, real purpose for the company, we're really addressing deforestation, right? I always quote the statistic that if we do nothing by 2050, you're talking about half the rainforest or more potentially wiped out. So this creates a product where somebody doesn't necessarily have to go cut down that tree, and also they don't have to maintenance it in 2 years. And if it's at the same price point, it kind of becomes this no-brainer thing. So yeah, my background's in it. There's been a passion in it. In terms of the evolution of the company, we started this company in probably 2018, like really thinking about it, 2019. Our first production year, because it's not insignificant to set up a massive manufacturing operation like this. So our first production year was in 21, and we've just continued to penetrate the market and grow our sales every year from 21 until this year, which has been incredible. And so our goal for 26, 27, 28 is to create some more aggressive growth, right? And I think you can do that by, if you build it, they will come. Right now, people really can come down, they can see it, we welcome people to come down and tour the facility, right? You can see the rice coming in, you can really get a sense of what we're doing. And I think this is that moment now where companies and builders and architects and people are really starting to hear about it. It's a made in America story, right? So we've created 175 jobs, all made in the USA. Our feedstocks from the USA. I think that's an important piece now. People knowing that they can get it. There's generally not supply chain disruptions because, I would say knock on Acre, we've created a lot of redundancies in place so that even if this piece of equipment goes down, we have a backup to it. So we've really just tried to make this an opportunity where people can see it and say, wait, I can partner with you guys and we can really grow together on this, whoever it may be, the dealers, the distributors, the builders, there's OEMs that are looking at this. So think about a potential manufacturer of tabletops, right? They could now use this. We partnered with a bunch of big brands, right? So with this year we did the Coachella. At Coachella, we did the Red Bull VIP suite, right? They bought the material, they brought it in, they built out this whole thing. There was a Nobu sushi in there, and that got a lot of attention, right? So we a couple years ago, we partnered with Heineken, and they built what they call their Heineken Greener bar. So it's this beautiful outdoor bar that they bring around to the Formula Ones. And a lot of people say, well, wait, why are you guys partnering with these big brands? And I always say Modern Mill has this story that they want to partner with us, right? To showcase their commitment to sustainability. So what a great way. Once they understand the rice hulls, the deforestation piece, and there's many others, right? Zero waste manufacturing, circularity, right? We did a deal with Chipotle, right? So we partner with Chipotle where they obviously sell rice at their stores. We take rice husks, right, which is throwaway from serving that rice ultimately, and then we make a product that they can use for either interior wall paneling, artwork, or exterior siding or cladding. And now they've got the circular economy story, right? And so our goal is to continue to do more and more programs like that with big brands. Think about all the big hotel groups, all these big groups, one way or the other. Everybody's got a commitment to sustainability. Go to their website. Sustainability, what have you done for me lately? So Modern Mill really fits a bill for what they're trying to do. So yeah, the collaborations with the big brands and all that's just continued coming. It's super exciting times.
That's awesome.
That's great. I guess I assume that the amount of rice husks that is wasted in this country, you won't run out of supply anytime soon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you like ramp up and you're getting X amount of market share,
Farmers must love you. I mean, I'm sure you pay something for it.
So the majority of what we pay is the freight, right? Yeah. So if you think about what is a rice husk, it's a fluffy sort of byproduct of agriculture. So the farmers, they'll ship rough rice to the mills. The mills is where they're aggregated, and that's where they separate the rice husk from the rice grain. So it's in one place, and we can bring it from there to our facility via a truck. And so that's the most expensive part of it. We do pay a small amount for the rice husks, and it helps out the mills, the farmers ultimately. We've had, farmers approach us. We've had states approach us. We've had like people really would like for us to be doing more of this, right? Mm-hmm. And the way we do more is to continue to grow the company and to do it. But yeah, to answer your question, we it's an interesting statistic, but if you think about it, we produce a lot of rice in this country, but we don't necessarily consume a lot of rice. We consume a good amount, but maybe not the amount that we produce. So a good amount of our rice that we produce gets exported, right? So to other countries that do maybe consume more rice or have a shortage of it.
I actually had no idea that we made so much rice. You think rice and you think, Asia, right? That's the primary place for growing it, but apparently not. In terms of just the versatility of the product and the endless use cases, it seems like. I guess my question is, has anybody approached you to try and purchase the rights to it or partner with a bigger manufacturing company, or have you gotten to that point yet, or are you still kind of out there showcasing the product with these partnerships and sort of getting your name out there? Because I feel like this is one of those really good ideas and products that someone's going to want to scoop up and make an offer on
if
before
this were
it blows
Shark
up.
Tank, Mr. Wonderful would be all over you for license agreements.
Right. Like, hey, is this thing? I assume this thing is trademarked. And
you
all
already
this
talked
stuff.
about OEMs and things like that.
But I mean, just the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Like, who wants it?
Yeah, I mean,
like an AZEC type company, or
sure.
Trex.
Yeah, I think.
Hardy.
I think there's all those opportunities will have been there to some extent, will continue to be there. I think. Like, what do we think? What do we want to do at this point, right? And I think there's also a reason that it takes more of an entrepreneurial mindset to get a technology like this up and off the ground, right? Like, lots have tried in various versions of it, right? So there's all types of other agricultural byproducts people have worked with and tried out to try to move this forward. But I think we've been the first ones to really, like I said, kind of crack that code to figure out like how to economically do it, how to bring it into the facility, how to really create a product that people want, people use it. They're like, wow, this is great. I want to use it again. Wow, the versatility, I can put whatever coating I want on it. And if you compare it to some of the other composites, some of those other composites come pre-finished. So they were in I would just say different way of pre-finished, because they're generally not putting a coating on. It's sort of, and it's inherent in their process, where in their cap stock they'll add like a certain color or whatever. And the one of the main features and benefits of our product is that it looks and feels like wood because of that natural rice hull. So when you touch it, it doesn't feel like plastic. It doesn't feel like cement or anything like that. It feels very, very natural, mimicking a piece of wood. So I think, over time, as people continue to understand like what we've done, those opportunities will continue to come in, whether it's an OEM that wants to partner with us, whether it's, I'm sure down the road, I'm sure people will be trying to, look at opportunities to either, JV or acquire, or whatever that might be. But our goal is to continue to grow the company. So make stuff really well, focus on the quality, focus on our efficiencies, focus on our revenue, right? Because the revenue, as that continues to track, it just means that we're doing the right things in all these different markets. Continue to expand our product offering so that we're really addressing what people need. So in New England, right, shiplap's been a big thing. I always keep things very simple. If a builder is about to go take cedar and do vertical shiplap, which has been a common profile here, I always say, don't do that. If we can get to them, like, use this product because it looks and feels better. And then in 2 years or 3 years or 6 months, if it's a coastal install near the salt water, you're not having to go maintenance it. Plus, you didn't pay what you've paid. Potentially, we're cheaper than cedar, depending upon what grade you get and when, and the timing of when you get it. It's going to be easier to install. It's going to look better, and you don't have to maintenance it. So if we can just continue to do that, that's an example in New England. Maybe in the Pacific Northwest, it's, hey, don't go cut down that wood for your board and batten install. Use our Acre sheets with our Acre batten strips, and now you've got your board and batten for the same reasons, right? You didn't cut down the tree. You don't have to maintenance it. Better price point. If we do that in various markets and continue to just grow, I think good things will happen in whatever way, shape, or form that happens. Certainly, it could be by way of acquisition, JVs, more and more partnerships. We're excited about what all that brings. But I think for us, it's like hit the basic blocking and tackling, do those things really, really well. And this is, I joke around, right? I'm the CEO of the company, but I'm also the chief focus officer of the company, right? Keep people very, very focused. Like, what do we need to do? We need to, grow our top line revenue, keep making things really well, keep our efficiencies in line, right? Create a really healthy company from that standpoint. And then I think all those good things will happen, along with all the commercial opportunities, right? What other commercial opportunities are out there that we're missing? This is a big, big market when you think about it. It's not just exterior building products, which is the low hanging fruit that we've hit so far. But what about interiors, right? We were talking about kitchen cabinets. What about furniture manufacturers for furniture? What about ceilings, right?
Did you do flooring?
We've toyed. We've used it for flooring just as in R&D settings, and it works great. I think there's some work we need to do in terms of how we would code it to make sure that it passes sort of the high heel test and some of these other things, right?
High heel test, yeah.
So somebody's walking out, you don't want to have a bunch
That's
of
important for Ray. Ray is...
I don't know.
He didn't deny it. So we can continue.
I don't know.
I have no comment.
So any
trouble here.
Any type of in the high heel test is symbolic of like any type of a high pressure situation on a flooring. So in general, right, what do we like to do? I like vertical better than horizontal applications, because horizontal applications, people are like dragging stuff or putting potentially heavy loads on them. High heel is the worst of it, right? Because you have a very small hopefully I get my terminology right, surface area with a lot of pressure, right, which could create a dent. So what we want to do is make sure that I think the answer is yes, we probably will, whether we partner with like a large OEM who's already in that space, somebody who has the expertise, and then they understand like what coating would we put on the Acre. But ultimately, think about it. Don't cut down the hardwood and then coat it like normally, like we would with hardwood floors. Now, there's been a lot of, development, let's say like in the sort of LVT luxury vinyl tile space, and some of that stuff is a different price point than what we're doing, but there's still people that are just buying hardwood floors, like regular hardwood floors. That's right. Like it could be that, it could be we sort of pre-finish something, make a few different colors. I think there's a lot of opportunity for floors, and that is a massive market, right? So whether you think about floorings, whether you think about the exterior building, whether you think about the interior, whether you think about some commercial installations, right? Like when I look around some of those hotel lobbies, there's these panels that stuff's not cheap, right? And we have a economical, really good solution that also has that sustainability perspective. So again, if a hotel wants to talk about what is their commitment to sustainability, using these types of materials is a great way to do that.
Yeah, it's cool. And you can get 4x8 sheets and run it through a CNC, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So the world is your oyster. I mean, I posted today on LinkedIn about kind of the difference between being laboratory tested and field ready. And I think that those are two very different things, right? Like,
Oh, of course.
I mean, I did a building in Cedar years ago now, but I got to tell you, when I drive to that neighborhood, I go the long way, so I don't have to drive by it. It's just, no one's ever maintained it, in fairness, but man, we put a rain screen behind it. We use that like spongy Brillo-like product to give it a place to water to drain. I bought it pre-finished on all 5 sides, which takes you like a second to figure out, but there are 5 sides, right?
We did the
I
same
thought there's
thing.
6 sides.
Wait, 1, 2, no, 4 sides. Wait. I'm special.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I
Top,
thought
bottom,
there were 6.
left, right, front, back.
Yeah. Well,
It's okay.
I get lost in Ray's eyes. So
Well, listen here. I guess you're saying all the right things, and I believe 100% all of that too. And just the fact that you're extruding the product, right? You don't have to worry about the natural imperfections.
We're like
from Mother
painting a cut
Nature.
end, like
Right.
that's another one.
Exactly.
It's like all of these little things along the way.
And is the product like a through color, or will it be a through color kind of product where, if there is a dent, because like if there's a dent or a chip or something, will you see it, or is that part of the process, or can it be?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of it, right? And there's the fact that it takes a stain or paint so easy, so that in the event it did get chipped or damaged or something, you could literally just sand it and refinish it, right? Where something, other products that might be pre-colored through that extrusion process are probably, it's not as easy to do that, right? You'd have to, and they may sell special kits to do it, but basically if you had this product on your home and somebody, I'm trying to think of the example in a siding up, if somebody somehow was moving a grill and jammed the grill too far against the wall or something, right? You could then, take some sandpaper, and ultimately you could match that Acre grain with that sandpaper, and then you could just hit it with that stain that you would have used, and it should blend right in. And that's one of the main features and benefits in terms of being colored through. We can do that. I mean, I think the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze, right? Because you could just, if you cut the edge of it and you've seen it, you could just, again,
Easy to repair, and touch up,
and you could just hit it with paint or stain, right? So if you had pre-finished product from us, and then you needed, for some reason, the edge was showing somewhere, you could just hit that with that same stain, and it generally addresses it from that standpoint. People that are milling it, like you were saying, Mark, so if somebody buys a piece of 4x8 sheet from us, runs it through a CNC to make whatever profile they may want. Generally, they'll CNC it first and then they'll coat it after. So as long as you're coating all that surface, that's what you end up seeing. My kitchen cabinets were sort of done that way. So you end up, we actually, go into the core of the material. And then if it didn't have the right sort of aesthetic that you were looking for, again, you can just hit it with some sandpaper. Generally, it's not an issue, but when you coat it, that's what gives you that final aesthetic, and generally people love that. But there is an opportunity, if at some point, if we ever thought it was a big enough market, right? If that juice is worth the squeeze, we can color it through, but there's costs to doing that. So in the spirit of keeping our costs aligned, we try not to add things that the market isn't necessarily adding for. But certainly if it was like a custom opportunity and somebody really wanted it, we're happy to talk to anybody about anything. There is also a potential, if we come out with like a pre-finished white product, that we would probably have the whole thing be more, it would be colored through in that white. We haven't fully decided that. We're still trying to vet that out to see if that's something the market wants, but we played with that. We've looked at it, and that product would be pre-colored through that white through the whole thing.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. How do you, I guess as an entrepreneur, how do you decide which direction to go? Because like you said, there's so many different potential variations. And so you're just trying to go for like large volume type applications, the exterior siding, flooring, cabinetry, or any of that millwork, or do you focus more on other avenues? Or I guess, do you get approached by people and they say, oh, what about this? Like you said, OEMs, could you make this does it have antimicrobial features? Could you make it into cutting boards? I don't know. Just it seems like it's endless options and use cases.
That's the beautiful thing about it, right? So if somebody wanted to do something and it was something that we weren't doing in volume, we would just say, just find somebody with a CNC or with molding capabilities, and you can essentially make whatever profiles you'd want to make, right? So that's the beautiful thing about it, is that if it's something that we didn't want to do, and just think about the extreme of that. If somebody said, hey, will you make birdhouses? Will you make, furniture? Like I want lounge chairs made out of this stuff. The better approach, if there was a market for that, is just find an OEM who is currently a furniture maker. We can sell them their sheets. They can add whatever value they want to make it into the Adirondack chair, the lounge chair, the birdhouse, the cupola, whatever it is that they're making. And then they can add value and resell it. If the volume was enough at some point, like, would we think about it? I think the ultimate answer to your question is we listen, right? So we're a entrepreneurial organization that loves to listen to what is the market telling us, versus being in a position of saying, we're the manufacturer, you're going to take what we make. We want to listen. What does the market want? I mean, that's how we got to where we started making the shiplap profile, the edge and center bead, the center match, all the different profiles that we have. We really listened to the market and said, what is it that you guys need? We've listened to the pain points. What bothers you about working with this material? And they'd say, well, I don't like the dust. I don't like the static. I don't like this. I don't like that. Okay, so we're going to continue to innovate products that address people's pain points. And obviously we don't want to do things that are super small volume. We want to be in a space where it's a pretty massive addressable market, and that's what starts to create the value of for Modern Mill. This isn't something we're trying to do a small amount, right? Or keep it super specialty, right? We believe there's a volume play here, and as these woods become more and more difficult to get, it's like, yes, today we may be taking market share from other composites, but don't forget, people that are still going out to try to get these hardwoods, these old growth woods, tropical woods, those are going to be harder and harder to get over time, right? And inherently, as those supply demand curves
can't
cross,
even get mahogany anymore. This is
what I'm saying.
You want to do a mahogany deck? Good luck.
That's what I'm saying.
Really
right?
tough to source.
Like in 5 years ago, if somebody was like, well, I don't have any problem getting whatever, I'm like, okay, it's 2021, 2022, whatever year I was asking this question. I go, what year do you believe you will have a problem? And they go, well, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
Like at some point you're going to have a problem, right? It's a question of how and when, right?
Yeah.
And we always say, like, work with us now and be way ahead of that, right? Because if you can get your customer, if you're a builder, to understand that, listen, mahogany is super hard to get, super hard to work with. You're going to require maintenance, but hey, here's this other product that works just as well. That is a volume play, right? There's such a massive market for us to expand this company by doing that. So how do we make those decisions? I think it's thinking about, where's the real volume? Where's the juice worth the squeeze for us? If it's something super custom, we don't have to say no. We can say, hey, this mill shop would love to do that for you. And we see that all the time. Somebody might want, like, I don't know, like folded corners or something different than maybe that we're doing. We're not doing that today at the mill. So that can just be done at either a mill shop or it even is done in the field a lot. People will just run it right in the field.
Yeah, we did with a heat gun. We were wrapping a 90-degree corner, and we wanted that look. I guess going back to concept of investment and entrepreneurial journey, you guys are currently raising a fund. Are you thinking about Shark Tank? Dan could be a great celebrity builder if you're looking for just a pretty face. I don't. Where are you guys at there?
Yeah, I mean, we've raised a significant amount of equity. Generally, up to this point, it's been high net worth private individuals who have invested in our A, our B, and our C round. We've recently launched a round on Start Engine, which is it's actually happening right now. So we are doing that, and it's been an interesting journey, right, to work with Start Engine to see how that's evolved over time. But yeah, it gets us. It's creating some brand awareness for us. So we are doing. I would say that's a smaller round that we're doing right now with Start Engine. But yeah, we're always open to what partnerships could look like and what capital opportunities coming in, because I think the interesting thing for us is we've invested a lot in sort of the making stuff, and now the opportunity for us is to really create the awareness. So some investment is being made in that now in terms of, really we've done everything kind of organically up to this point. Yeah, we have decent social media presence and, we do a little bit of digital, but we have done nothing. Like when you're driving in on 93, you don't look up and see Acre by Modern Mill, take rice husks and make this product looks and feels like wood. But that, like when you think about our next evolution, it's running some ads, doing some billboards, spending some investment that way to really create the awareness and also to create the availability. Because as we create the awareness, we want to make sure people can get it, which just means, feet on the street to be able to bring on the next, stocking dealers or retailers so that builders, architects, homeowners are able to get access to the product. And that's in part why we didn't want to go with a huge ad campaign 3 years ago, is like we had to lay the groundwork, make sure the product is available, at least in the big markets that we're in, right? So now if you're a builder in Cape Cod, you probably know about Acre by Modern Mill and you probably used it, right? So we're trying, and now that that's there, it might be a perfect opportunity to put a big billboard or some, serve ads digitally, do some.
I think it's all about podcast advertising in real estate podcasts. Markets like Boston, especially with like the best real estate market in the country.
There it is, right there.
Podcasts are amazing.
It's how Trump got elected. I mean,
it's funny. I was actually going to bring up Trump, and I was going to say, now that you're essentially, your company's on its second administration, we'll call it, and it couldn't be any different, right? Polar opposites. Have the tariffs had any impact in terms of what you've seen in sort of demand, so to speak? Like, because there's two parts to it, right? In a way, you could take this product and obviously export it, right? And use that. But now we're kind of in the hot seat. No one wants America. But if you're doing this America First strategy, growing it all here locally, and the tariffs are making external products,
more expensive.
Imports
you
more
can't
expensive.
Get Canadian wood.
Right. Like, so now is this a natural, have you seen the kind of the shift from that? Or is it not really been an impact as of yet?
I think it's too early to tell to some extent, right? I think
because he keeps extending those tariffs, like, right. Here they are, no they're not. Here they are, no they're not.
So I think there's a couple things there, right? I think the tariffs could make certain things more expensive, right? So building materials that are imported, so could ultimately create a slightly higher price to somebody building a home, right? Mm-hmm. So some could say, well, that might not be a positive thing. I think for us as a U.S. manufacturer, for sure, being in whether it's the tariffs or not tariffs, I think being in the U.S. where somebody can come down to our facility, they can understand what we're doing, they can develop this sense of security in that we're going to be there. If there's an issue with the material, we have a tech team, we have an R&D team, right? We have salespeople. People can call me, right? We want to ensure people's success working with the product. We want to continue to get the product out. So I think the Made in America piece is absolutely huge for us, right? And so current administration, obviously, I think that's one of the top objectives. I think it's called BABA, Build America, Buy America, mm-hmm. right? So we are that, right? We've been that since, like you said, the last administration, and I think having the stability of infrastructure and the feedstocks, and those are the things that I think people look at. They can come down, they can see it, they can talk to us. Our product team can work with their product team. Our marketing team can work with their marketing team. Those types of things I think are very, very important because builders now want to tell that story, right? They want to tell the story of, wait, I'm using Modern Mill, and Modern Mill has addressed how much deforestation, right? They want to tell that story. So our marketing team can work with their marketing team. And those things I think are really, really important.
Nice. Well, I think we're sort of coming up on time. I wanted to confirm that wood, a 2x4 has 6 sides. I've been thinking about that. Secondly, I do think podcast advertising is where it's at, though I may be biased. But I'd say we really enjoyed having you on here. And if folks wanted more information on Modern Mill, Acre Siding, what's the best spot for them to go?
Our website's great, which is modern-mill.com, and full resource guide there, install guides, beautiful lookbooks and pictures and all these different things that you can do with the product ideas. So we encourage people to go to our website, go to our social media, right? We have a pretty big following on Instagram. But we're constantly putting out social media. We're doing a lot on our website, constantly updating that. And then, more to come. And I totally agree with you on the podcast piece.
All right, good stuff.
Thanks for listening, rating, reviewing, subscribing. We'll Catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
right,
Thanks,
see you
guys.
later.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris.